Sinners was whack, y'all. Sinners was so fucking whack. And I'm disappointed that I not only wasted my money and my time to go see it. Well, actually, no, because I still support Black. I support you, whatever. But y'all could have told me this shit was a fucking musical. That's number one. Y'all could have told me that this was a musical. Out of all of the reviews and the things that I saw prior to seeing this movie, not one of them did y'all fucking say that this is a goddamn musical. Brace yourself. I am a person, I can't stand musicals. I hate them, I hate them, I hate them. And I especially hate when a musical tries to disguise itself as a horror movie or some other genre, and then you get in there thinking that you're gonna see a vampire film, and they're fucking singing and dancing the whole fucking way through. That's like my number one issue with the movie. I hate musicals. This was a goddamn musical. It wasn't billed as a musical. If you would have told me it was a musical before I went to go spend my money, I would have knew what to expect before sitting down and watching this nonsense. That's my first problem. If you haven't seen it, sorry, there will be spoilers. I'm just gonna go down the list of all the things I disliked about this movie. Which brings me to the Indian characters, right? These people made an appearance, and then you never saw them again in the rest of the fucking movie. They didn't really explain much. They just showed up and left, and that was it. I was hoping to maybe see them again at the conclusion or something to where them being in it tied it all together to where the movie made sense, and it didn't. They basically give a warning to a white couple in a cabin, basically telling them about the vampires, but not really saying what it was or whatever, just like, you know, giving them a warning and then leaving, never to be seen or heard from ever again for the rest of the movie. Mind you, everything that took place in this movie happened in one single solitary day. And I had a problem with that too, because why is all of this happening in a 24-hour fucking period? That's a lot to happen. Now, Smoke and Stack, the Michael B. Jordan characters or whatever, literally came into town all in one day, found the juke joint, bought and paid for it, cleaned it up a little bit, hung some lights, found all of the other characters all in the same day. Found the juke joint man, Slim, found the doorman, I forgot his name, and got their cousin who was leaving from his dad's church or whatever, gathered everyone up in the same day, and also had sex in between also. So I know these niggas was tired, but like all of this happened in the same day. They opened up the juke joint the same night, and all of this madness ensues, right? I mean, I just felt like there should have been more time for character development or whatever, so we can see like the backstories or why the vampires even existed and why the fuck they want to sing so much. Like, tell us why. So the vampire guy who we're halfway introduced to by the Indian characters and whatnot, he shows up, he turns these other white people into vampires as well, and then they go on their little killing spree and whatnot. Never really explained where he came from, how he became a vampire, nothing. Didn't explain their mission or purpose. They just wanted to go sing their bluegrass nonsense at the juke joint, and that was it. That's what they wanted to do. Now, there were scenes in the movie that I did like. I mean, there was a lot of scenes that I liked. It just, to me, everything that was happening so much and so fast all in the same day that it really just didn't give a lot of time to each character individually to tell their story, right? Or is that just me? I did like the juke joint scene of them showing like a future and past mesh of everything happening together. That was interesting. That was cool. But again, never explained anything about the vampires. Mind you, I paid to go see a horror movie. I like my horror movies horrible, if that makes sense. I like them to actually reflect a horror movie and not be a fucking musical. So this is another song and dance break that everyone did. The Delta Slim character, why he had to do a black sacrifice, beyond me. Made no fucking sense. Told them people to run upstairs. What is upstairs other than a no way out? I never understand when in horror movies people decide we're gonna run upstairs for some random fucking reason and be trapped. But he decided to self-sacrifice This is usually a trope that you see in a lot of horror movies when the black person sacrifices themselves for the white people, but there were no white people that he was sacrificing himself for. It was just a no reason sacrifice. Like, nigga, why did you do that? Why did you do that? Made no sense. They ran upstairs, got trapped. Most of them still got killed. One of them got away. He had to jump off the roof. It just made no sense. Like, his character self-sacrifice. I guess they just have to find a way to get him up out of there or whatever so they can kill off the characters. I do feel like, based on how it read on the screen, I felt like maybe they ran out of ideas, or maybe they wrote themselves into a corner, because all the vampires were trapped outside and they weren't allowed in unless you invited them in, and then the people were trapped inside or whatever, and all they had to do was wait until daylight, and then they could, I guess, move around or whatever. But for whatever reason, this fucking lady right here decides to invite everyone in. She crashes out or whatever and tell everybody to come inside, and that's how they came in, and now it's a bloodbath, and everyone in there pretty much dies except I think it was one of the twins, I don't remember which one, and then the other black guy with the guitar or whatever, their cousin. These are the only people who survived after this lady did this fucking crash out. And they only had, they was in there all night, so you probably only had 30 more minutes before the sun came up, and this was for what? So when I say I feel like they wrote themselves into a corner, it's like once the vampires were trapped outside and they were trapped inside, they had to figure out a way to make everything come back together again. And this was a crash out way to do that, I guess. Now, what I didn't understand about this character, aside from the unnecessary sex scenes, and I felt like all the sex in the movie was just unnecessary. It felt like it was forced. Y'all just threw that in there. Mind you, all this happened in the same day. All of this is happening in the same day. Finding the juke joint, getting your ex-girlfriend to fry some catfish, having sex with her, finding everybody else who's going to be in the juke joint that night or whatever, and inviting everyone from the town. Like, all of this is a one-day fucking thing. So what I didn't understand about this particular character or whatever, when they do their little backstory, and it's a very like small little backstory segment that they give you, so it still leaves a lot of things that were open-ended and weren't really answered. So apparently her and one of the twins had a baby that either she miscarried or just died. I assume that it was probably miscarried by the way that they were talking about her being pregnant and losing the baby. But then when you go to the little gravestone that he had, it looked like a 5-year-old put the handprint on the stone. So I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe it was a toddler. But then when they show her in the end holding the baby, it was a fucking newborn. None of that made sense. None of it made sense. So if there's something about that I was missing, please come and explain it to me. I know that people are saying, oh, you got to watch it more than once. You got to watch it, 2 or 3 times to get it. I'm not watching that shit again. Okay, I hate musicals. It was way too much singing and dancing. I cannot do that to myself again. This is what y'all are getting. This is my one take from it. So after everything happened, these are the only 2 niggas who survived in the end. The only 2. It was like 12 of them, and they had 30 minutes till daylight. Somehow, these are the only 2 that survived in the very end. And then, you know how they do when they cut to the credits or whatever, you think it might be over or whatever, there's like another 10 minutes going or whatever. So that happens, and it kind of fast forwards into the life of I forgot his name, but this is their cousin in the show or whatever. Fast forward to his life or whatever. He's some famous guitar player, still singing the blues and whatnot. And then the smokestack character and his girlfriend, who were both turned into vampires, show back up in the future. And now everyone's cool. Everyone's like buddies, and bygones have been bygones and whatnot. And they let him survive. And it was exhausting. I was so glad to get the hell out of that movie theater. And like I said, my biggest gripe is the fact that it's a musical. It is a musical. It is a musical. And I feel like that should be said for those of us who do not like musicals and don't want to be bamboozled into watching one when I was told it was a horror movie. My last gripe is how the vampires died in the end. It was just stupid. Like I said, they had 30 minutes to daylight, and if they were just going to stay out there anyway, they could have just waited and let them burn up. But that didn't happen, and they burned up anyway. So, yeah.